We call this one the Ed Hoffman. What's up YouTube fam, Robbie C here. I've been doing a ton of thinking lately about how far you guys have helped move this channel along. I go back and watch some of the older videos when our studio setup looked a little more like this. Yeah, I know, it's definitely a little on the rougher side, but we still have a far way to come. We've even thought about dreaming up a new studio space, one that's, let's say, a little better than what we're working with right now. So my first question is, what would you guys like to see in a new studio space? Second question, is there anything in the current space that you'd like to see moved over to the new space? Let me know in the comments below. But speaking of looking back, I've been thinking of some of my favorite videos on the channel and also videos that y'all have said you really enjoyed as well. This channel is all about you, and it will always be about you. So I thought, why not revisit one of y'all's favorite videos, which is how I play disc golf, every shot explained. I have never said that I am the greatest player in the world, but I love approaching the game and trying to think through every single shot and all of the possibilities that are out there. So I grabbed my camera, headed down to Calera, and shot a few holes. With all that said, let's jump into the first hole. Our first hole of the day is a par 5 coming in at 564 feet with OB littered all over the right side of the hole. The initial landing zone presents a challenge in itself. After that, you have the option to lay up again with OB still being on the right, or progress your way into this tunnel where the basket awaits you at the very end. With all of these options to navigate, there's only one question. What are we going to throw on this hole? I'm looking at 5 options here, with our first being the end of a pig. Of course, a putter on a par 5 seems a little odd, but the Mando we have to hit is only 240 feet away, while the ideal landing zone is only 270 feet away. By throwing my pig on a soft forehand up, I can guarantee that I'm going to make the Mando and not lose any strokes to the course. However, this super safe shot doesn't set me up for attacking the rest of the hole. So if I decide to be a little more aggressive, then I would pick up this Grace for a proper distance driver. But in trying to bite off so much distance rather than placement for this hole, I could actually end up turning the disc over. So I'd want to throw something a little more overstable, calling in my Raider. The problem with throwing the Raider is that if I don't get over on it enough or put it on the proper line, because it's overstable, it's going to want to fade out and I'm going to miss the Mando handing over strokes back to the course. So here's what's going through my mind. It's a 564 foot hole. If I take away 20 feet from my putt, then I'm left with only a 544 foot hole. Am I going to throw that far? Absolutely not. So, because I'm not planning on biting off the entire hole, I have to start thinking. If I want a par, I only have to throw the disc 136 feet, birdie 181, and an eagle, I only have to throw it 272 feet, which is perfect because the perfect landing zone is 270 feet away. When I'm starting to look at the hole, I have to understand that I can either choose to try to navigate all of the OB with the Mando and all of the OB to the right on the tee shot, or I can make a safe first shot and play aggressive on the second shot. We're also throwing into a massive headwind, which means that I'm going to opt for a safe shot off the tee, which leads me to the verdict. The verdict is an overstable mid-range, and when I know that I put it on a little bit of anhyzer, it's going to fight back and fade out perfectly into the landing zone every single time. Now, my other option here is the evader if I was looking to get a little more distance. Normally, if we didn't have this crazy headwind, the evader would probably be my disc of choice, and it actually works out here on this shot. But I want to take a quick moment to talk about why I didn't go with the evader. The evader here actually landed in a pretty advantageous spot, but it's only 70 to 90 feet farther than where my verdict landed. And the evader also brings in way more variance because it's a fairway driver and it's not as controllable as my verdict. So we navigated our options, and although I would like for this verdict to be a little bit farther, it set us up for a nice, easy, repeatable throw on this tee shot every time. Now the basket still sits up there to our left, and we have a choice here depending on how confident we're feeling. If we aren't feeling too great about getting all the way to the basket, we can pull out our pig and throw a nice, easy upshot about 150 to 200 feet towards the landing zone in front of the corridor leading up to the basket. It's a super simple hyzer that's going to set us up for a nice low ceiling shot up to the basket for a drop-in birdie. However, we decided to be safe off the tee so that we could be aggressive on the second shot. I'm opting for a Defender, which is a super overstable distance driver, and the key is that I actually want to throw it flat, not on spike hyzer angle. When you throw a disc that is this overstable on a spike hyzer angle, it's going to crush your distance and be very hard to control how far you're going to get it. By throwing it flat, I'm able to throw it all the way out there and let it naturally fade back off to the left, setting up for a nice eagle look. You would be hard-pressed to find a less stressful eagle putt than what we have right here. Ideally, I would love for it not to be obstructed with that branch right down the middle, but a 25-foot uphill putt for eagle, I'll take that every day of the week. Because we made the right decisions and stayed in bounds, we had this stress-free eagle putt. Here's why it's so stress-free. Because even if I step up to this putt and absolutely whiff that thing all the way off to the right, it doesn't matter. I still have a drop-in birdie because I simply stayed in bounds. The secret to par 5s is making sure you get to use all of your throws, not letting penalties have some of them. Our next hole is one of my favorites on this course, coming in at only 229 feet. This road plays OB the entire way, and you have to land on grass if you want to stay in bounds. The trick here is that everything over this wall to the left is out of bounds as well. With the slope leaning to the left, you have to be careful coming in too hot. Not only that, but this road is so close to the basket, you could quickly find yourself OB if you don't commit fully to your shot. It's a super interesting hole that can quickly turn sour. So to borrow Yuli's words, let's see how it plays out. On these shorter holes with OB everywhere, wind means everything. So we want to make sure that we're adjusting our selection based on current conditions. There are 3 discs I normally look at for this hole, and this kind of wind definitely affects which one's going to get the call. First up is my Eco Pure. It's a neutral to understable putter, and generally I throw it on straight hyzer flips or I go for the backhand turnover shot. I want to look at it more for the turnover because in a hyzer flip, it would definitely roll over to the right. The problem with the turnover is that if I expose it too much to the wind, it's going to carry way far to the right. And if I don't put enough on it, then it won't stay turning and it will fade out into OB. Which brings up my precious child. Because this pig is so wore in, it actually flies incredibly straight. The hard part about throwing a straight shot in this hole is that because of the wind, I have to aim a little bit to the left of my target, and aiming to the left of the basket brings 2 of the 3 objects into play that get in my way of hitting my line. Taking us to the current workhorse, one of my other pigs. I know that if I put this disc on hyzer, it will continue to hyzer no matter what wind it faces, which is just what I need for this hole. I'm going to hang it out to the right and let it just fade right back into the basket. I don't care about the road because all it's going to do is park. The purple pig has lots of positives going for it, and yes, I'm able to get the other options in bounds, but there are too many variables when it's just so easy leaning on the purple pig. I know some of you are saying, well, Robbie, the shot went really well, but even if I throw this too wide, for instance, because I chose the right disc, it still has the opportunity to get back in bounds. So why not stick with the purple pig? Because it still yields a great result. What about another option? What if I threw the disc too long? I still have options available to me because I'm choosing my disc to factor in the conditions and being confident that I'm going to throw the disc well while still accounting for what could happen if I throw the disc poorly. You know your bag and your options, so choose accordingly, even if it's a little different. We call this one the Ed Hoffman. What a time, y'all! Although it was only 2 holes, my goal is that you can take these same principles and thought processes and apply them to your local courses, especially if there is a ton of OB surrounding your course. Like I said earlier, the worst thing we can do is give free strokes to the course by going out of bounds. If you can't tell, I'm just a goofy guy trying to keep it real, helping people improve one stroke at a time. And the community that gets to see this more than anybody else is the Birdie Fam. I love getting to work with the Birdie Fam, seeing players improve together. There's room for everybody in the Birdie fam, no matter what skill level you're at or what personality you have. My heart for the Birdie fam is for it to be exactly that, a family of disc golfers coming together to celebrate and grow. So if that sounds like a community you'd be interested in joining and being a part of, then head down to the link in the description below to check out details. I hope you have an amazing week, and with all the possibilities in front of you, that you're still able to decide on the best disc and shot for you on each and every hole. But for now, I'm gonna leave you with the birdie.